You click next. You're going to be directed to start configuring Jenkins. So if you will click on the Jenkins tab here, you're going to get a dedicated instance of Jenkins. We do have a predefined pipeline with an iOS sample build in it that we're going to play with here and watch run on this VNC. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Manage Jenkins. And again, I'm following the instructions here. If you're familiar with Jenkins, feel free to jump in. But basically what we're going to do is utilize the pre-configured Jenkins instance to connect and to manage this build. So we're going to click on Manage Jenkins. We're going to go into Configure System, and then we're going to scroll down to the cloud portion of that configuration. The cloud portion of the configuration has an Orka Cloud plugin. So we have purpose-built a Jenkins plugin for Orka that we recommend anybody using Jenkins use. It is opinionated as to how to use Orka correctly and how to orchestrate your build pipelines. And it also has all the predefined components that you're going to need to connect and use it well. So if you look down here, the first thing you're going to do is go to the username and password fields for credentials, and you're going to click Add, and you're going to click Jenkins. At this point, you want to put in your username and your password. And we're going to just call it Orka Credentials so we know what it is, and we're going to click Add. So again, when we come back here, that's been added. I want to pick my Orka credentials. The first part of this plugin is asking me what credentials do I need to establish a connection to my Orka API endpoint in my cluster. Again, Orka is an app that lives inside of a Kubernetes cluster that really has a opinionated view of how to manage that cluster for Mac OS and how to use it for Mac OS. So this API server is your interface to that, and that helps you run all additional Orka commands. So here I'm providing my credentials to that and establishing a connection to that endpoint. The next thing we're going to want to do is make sure and confirm that the VM that we want to use is in place and that we have the credentials correctly configured for that, because again, once Orka creates a VM, it's going to connect via SSH via the credentials that we provided for. This is that admin user that we saw earlier. And you can specify other things like the number of executors that you want to run per build. You can change the idle time, a couple of configurable tools like that. When you're ready, you hit Save, and that will lock these settings in. You should be able to verify all these settings also right here in the tutorial with this snapshot. It kind of gives you an overview of what you should have. Just make sure everything you put in matches that.